The Mecca, Madison Square Garden. Game 3 about to begin. And the starting lineups first for the visiting Miami Heat. Tim Hardaway, Dan Marley in the backcourt. P.J. Brown, Alonzo Mourning, and Jamal Mashburn. And the same starting 5 for the Heat and similar for the New York Knicks. No lineup changes in this series. Charlie Ward and Allen Houston at guard. Kurt Thomas, Patrick Ewing, and Larry Johnson up front. Pat Riley coaching the Miami Heat, of course, and Jeff Van Gundy, who used to coach with Pat Riley, the head coach, trying to get over the 500 mark in his playoff career. And now Pat Riley and Jeff Van Gundy, for different reasons, need this series. Riley, of course, looking to get the Heat out of the first round, something that he has not done in 2 out of the 3 previous series. And Van Gundy, well, he could be fighting for his future. The tip controlled by the Knicks.
Now both teams are excellent defensively. In game 2, Miami was able to cut off all lane penetration by the Knicks.
Kurt Thomas picking up the foul and a slow start to this game. So Thomas picking up the first foul of the game.
Well, unfortunately for him, that's why his time was cut back so much in game 2, because he was in constant foul trouble, and all 5 of them were silly fouls.
Alonzo Mourning has been a giant, as Hubie chronicled. 27 and 26 points in each of the first 2 games. Patrick Ewing out to meet him, and with 7 on the clock, Mourning misses the first shot of the game.
Now, if you're Pat Riley, you're very happy, because as long as you get the ball movement, you want Mourning to take him off the dribble. You're a little bit upset about the fact that he didn't take him off the dribble and go hard to the rim.
Ewing, however, hits his first shot of the game, and that should be a big boost. Patrick Ewing, who was only 4 for 12 from the field in game number 2, puts the Knicks in front. Ward is guarding Hardaway as expected, and Thomas, the power forward, is on Mourning, the center. And Mourning, one-on-one, they have not doubled against Alonzo, and his hook shot goes out, but it's corralled by Hardaway.
See, Thomas is very strong with the forearm and the upper body, and anytime that Mourning goes for the hook, he chests him.
Plenty of time on the shot clock. Hardaway with a good pass into P.J. Brown, and the basket counts in a foul. Hardaway had 11 assists, even though he has yet to get on track scoring-wise in the series, and P.J. Brown ties the score.
See, they're doing a very good job in finding the free people once the Knicks trap the pick and roll. They have an advantage from the foul line down, and Hardaway has been able to pick out the guy who's open.
Larry Johnson fouled P.J. Brown, so the Heat take a 3-2 lead. Ward in the backcourt with Allen Houston, who is playing despite the fact that he has the flu and did not take part in the shoot-around this afternoon. Larry Johnson on the perimeter, now in the hands of Houston, who is throttled by Marley in game 2. Ward for 3, and he misses. Ward had 2 from the 3-point range in the loss in Miami.
See, I was surprised that Houston did not go into Ewing. They were fronted. Ewing was fronted, and he had plenty of room to catch a pass and make a move.
P.J. Brown goes out to Hardaway, and Hardaway misses. Hardaway struggling from the perimeter, and of course, the question is, how much is he hobbled by that hyperextended knee that he suffered late in February? Hardaway getting into the paint, feeding Brown, charging in off the baseline, misses the shot, but a Knick foul, and it's their 3rd of this first quarter.
Yeah, I was happy to see P.J. Brown take it strong to the rim that time, Dick, because usually he will settle for that baseline jump shot where he shoots a high percentage. But by taking it to the rim, you are forcing the Knicks into foul trouble. That's what you have to keep thinking about in a series like this, to get fouls on that front line so that they have to go to the bench.
Ewing commits the personal foul. Right now, let's check in with Craig Sager.
Well, Dick, you talked about Dan Marley's injury. It is a fractured bone spur in his right collarbone. It happened late in the 3rd quarter of game 2. As he took the floor tonight, he told me he does not know what to expect when he has the first collision, but he does not think it will affect his mobility nor his shooting. The Knicks are aware of the injury. Allen Houston says he will not change his game plan, but he will be very aggressive running the 2 picks. Pat Riley says, I don't know what to expect, but I do know he's one of the toughest guys I've ever been around.
That is Craig, and Allen Houston has his shot blocked inside. Marley was inside along with Mourning. It is a 5-2 Miami lead, and Marley misses a 3, and it's tapped back out by Brown inside, and Alonzo Mourning. Good passing by the Miami Heat, and they're up by 5.
In this series, Miami only has 7 offensive rebounds a game, and New York 8. Now, the reason why we're bringing this out, on a good night, both teams would get anywhere from 13 to 15. So you look at them, they're tough defensively, they're tough against you trying to get into the lane, but then they're limiting you to 1 shot at both ends. That's why anytime you get a freebie tonight, Dick, you got to be really happy.
3 offensive rebounds off the start for the Miami Heat, Hubie. And in talking with Jeff Van Gundy before the game, and you said, what's #1 on your wish list? He said, I'd like us to do a better job rebounding, and that's why he perhaps called that 22nd timeout.
Also at the offensive end of the floor, Dick, when they had that nice screen for Houston, he went down inside, the pass was delivered, he went up soft, he hesitated, and Marley, who was behind him, had an opportunity to block that shot.
Coming up the elevator with Herb Williams, who probably won't play, an 18-year veteran. He says home court is not the thing. Everyone knows each other on this team. What they're going to do, it's who comes out with the most intensity and who goes after the loose balls and gets the rebounds. Charlie Ward on the outside, and the foul is called against Jamal Mashburn. And Larry Johnson will inbound. So nearly 3 minutes gone by, first quarter. The Heat leading 7-2. Johnson, who has played his best basketball of the year against the Miami Heat, finds a wide open Allen Houston. Houston misses, and the Morning gets the rebound.
See, they're the ones you got to make. Dan Marley was caught doubling back on the post and then lost his man.
Jamal Mashburn hits the basket, and Pat Riley would like nothing more. #1 on his wish list would be for Mashburn to get underway. He showed signs of breaking through with 9 points in the first half. Didn't even play the fourth quarter in game #2. And Allen Houston, after missing an open shot, hits it here, and it's still a 5-point Miami lead.
Well, the Knicks fans, the Knicks coaching staff, the Knicks players, everyone realized this young guy is capable of getting you 25 to 30. But what you'd like to see is more consistency. And I'm happy that he hit early, and maybe you'll get him off big.
Big game #1 for Allen Houston. Hardaway bobbles the pass momentarily. 8 on the shot clock. Houston picking up Mashburn with 2 seconds on the clock. Long range short. And P.J. Brown gets the ball, so that's 4 offensive rebounds already for the Heat.
Hey, Patrick Ewing, if the ball comes to him, he's in great shape. He has the damaged Achilles, and he got major swelling. Has not worked out since the last game, and you have to give him a lot of credit because he's sucking up a great deal of pain. But you cannot look for athleticism. He's not going to be able to get the rebound unless the ball comes close to him.
And, of course, he's a liability at one-on-one defending because he does not have that lateral movement. 10 on the shot clock for the Heat, and Kurt Thomas runs out at Hardaway. And here is P.J. Brown, who travels. Good defense. Ewing went right at Brown and forced him to turn it over.
See, they trapped the screen and roll from the left side. Hardaway kept his dribble and took it into the middle of the floor, but the Knicks rotation, excellent.
Only one time in NBA history as a #8 seed beat a #1 in the first round. That was in the West back in '94 with Denver over Seattle. And Charlie Ward, with an air ball from the corner, claims he was hit. So it is still 9-4 in favor of the Heat.
Hey, see, you got to take him now. Just don't settle for a jump shot. There you go.
And he doesn't, and Morning beats him to the basket, and the Knicks will play. They want Thomas on him, but Ewing was caught on Morning one-on-one, and a timeout, full time, this time on the Knicks, leading now, trailing by 7 points.
Strong move by Alonzo. That's there anytime from the wing or from the foul line.
The Heat jump out on the Knicks 11-4 early here in the first quarter. Chris Rock in the crowd, and filled with celebrities, as you might expect for this big game. Outstanding actor Kevin Bacon as well. And the garden is filled. And some of these are loyal fans, and some of these people are seeing the game for the first time this year, and why not?
Well, back in the 80s, Kevin Bacon was at almost every home game.
And there is Allen Houston driving strong to the basket and draws the foul. He was not to be denied, and Houston brings the Knicks to within 5, and Alonzo Mourning picking up his first personal foul.
See, I'm happy for Allen because in game 2 he had 6 turnovers. Anytime that he tried to make a move to the basket, he would invariably either travel or they would strip him from the basketball. But tonight, that is encouraging for the Knicks because when he's going to the basket, it opens up a ton of things.
3-point play by Houston brings the Knicks to within 4 with 5 minutes gone by here in the first quarter.
In the first 5 minutes, Dick, the big surprise, Miami 8-1 on the boards.
And Mashburn driving the baseline, and a well-executed play as Hardaway with another nifty pass inside. So the Heat leading 13-7. Mashburn with 4, Brown with 5, and Mourning with 4. Front line accounting for all of the Heat points thus far. Here's Larry Johnson, double teamed with Mourning with P.J. Brown, and good defense inside for the Heat. They get the ball back, leading by 6.
Pat Riley is trying to get the break. He's trying to get them to push the ball hard, even if it's a 4-on-3, 5-on-4. Get it up and look for the advantage.
50% shooting and 9 rebounds to 1 for the Heat. Hardaway hitting the medium range jumper, and it's 15-7, and the Miami Heat starting out as they have been assured so many times on the road this year. They play with a lot of confidence.
How about Timmy Hardaway shooting 21% and 11% in threes? Unheard of numbers for him.
No question.
After 2 games.
Yeah, because that's his strength.
That's absolutely.
The 3-point shot. Here is Ewing with the turnaround. Patrick Ewing with his second medium or long range shot for him. And it's 15-9 Miami. Mourning guarded by Thomas. And again, single coverage on Alonzo. Spinning baseline, and that time Thomas did a great job.
Yeah, well, he's very strong. Yeah, he's deceiving. He's a very powerful young man.
Ward hitting a 2. Charlie Ward getting the basket, and the Knicks and Heat matching hoops now. Up and down they go. Miami's lead is 4.
This is critical because Ward and Childs, between them, are only getting 7 points a game, Dick. They need a little bit more than that, maybe 12 to 14. That will take the cushion and the pressure off the other players.
So it's not all on Houston, Johnson, and Sprewell.
Oh, absolutely
if the point guards can do the job.
See, because when you do that, you eliminate Timmy Hardaway from leaving the point guard and double teaming any dribbler that's coming into the painted area.
Larry Johnson in a reach-in foul, and that is his second personal, so he leaves the game. And Latrell Sprewell comes into the game maybe earlier than Jeff Van Gundy had wanted him to, but Sprewell is in there now, and the lead is 4. With 5 minutes to go, and a steal by Sprewell. And he's fouled by Hardaway, but as Sprewell said today, maybe a dunk or a steal early when I come in will generate the crowd, because he feeds off the crowd here at the Garden.
Well, Sprewell has had an outstanding season, and one of the main reasons is the fact, not just because he gets you 16 points a game, but because he's one of the best steal guys in the business. He's excellent off the ball in anticipation. He's got a long stride. This is a smart foul by Timmy Hardaway. Make him make the foul shots.
And if there's one player on the Knicks who really is aware of what is going around him, it's Latrell Sprewell, who loves the crowd, and the crowd has taken to him. Remember when he was acquired from Golden State, that controversial deal, you know, about Sprewell and his suspension with the P.J. Carlesimo incident. We didn't know how the crowd was going to react to him this year, but he's a fan favorite.
Yes, he is. Well, they like his spirit, and they like the way that he plays so hard and that he attacks the rim and gets to the foul line. New York people like that. They want to see the guys give that effort night in and night out.
1 of 2 for Sprewell. With 4:40 to go, the lead is 3. And the turnaround by Hardaway and Charlie Ward with the person.
When Timmy Hardaway is healthy, he will post up quite a bit during the course of a game. Mainly because he's an excellent post-up guy with his back to the basket. Quite a few moves. Now tonight, he's razor sharp in his passing.
Here's Brown with the extra pass to Marley for 3. And Sprewell the rebound. That's the second miss from beyond the 3-point arc by Marley. Knicks trailing by 3. They were down by as many as 8 points. Ewing, again, cat and mouse with the Mourning. 10 on the shot clock, determined to go up with it, and scores. And I'll tell you, the crowd is murmured when he's taking shots. I don't think they mind it when it goes through the basket.
No, that's because of the big article in the New York paper today. They're saying, why can't Patrick's ego get the message? Just rebound. You're getting 15 a game. Pass the basketball and stop shooting. Because when you get the basketball, everything stops. So Patrick read that today, and he just came out and says, you know what? I'm going to shoot every time they throw it to me. And he's 3 for 3 right now.
The personal is on Kurt Thomas, so the Knicks starting forwards in foul trouble early with Larry Johnson on the bench with 2. Kurt Thomas now has 2, and Chris Dudley will come into the game. Dudley, the 6'11", 12-year veteran from Yale, will enter as Mourning misses the free throw. Thomas leaves the game with 2 personal.
During the course of the season, Mourning got to the line 9 times. In games 1 and 2, he's getting to the line 9 times. During the year, he's a 65% foul shooter. It's the only weak part of his total offensive, arsenal.
Mourning misses both free throws, but the back tap comes out to the Heat. The Knicks on a 7-0 run with 4 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Dick Stockton, Hubie Brown, and Craig Sager. Game 3 here at the Garden.
Now Dudley's a good shot blocker.
And Dudley, Mourning passes into the corner to Mashburn. And here come the Knicks, who are down by 1, looking to take their second lead of the game. And Sprewell, who is wide open, gives it to them. The Knicks, who got the first basket of the game, now lead it 16-15.
Good timeout by Pat Riley. They just went on a little mini run. Sprewell out on the break. When he launches that shot, he looks like it's an awkward release, but that is his style. Now the basketball is right here with Charlie Ward. This is Sprewell. Sprewell will come to the outside lane. Now keep an eye on him because he's very, very quick in the open floor. Now once he makes the catch, he's so productive in going strong to the rim. But if you give him the distance like they did there, they played it safe, he'll take that 17, 18-foot shot.
Since Latrell Sprewell came into the game when Larry Johnson went out with 2 fouls, the Knicks are on a 9-0 run. So Sprewell giving the Knicks a different dimension than they've had in recent years, more of an up-tempo style as opposed to their blue-collar style before, and it's worked for them.
I want to see Mashburn take advantage of Sprewell down inside on the post. I know they're we're working Mourning right now. They want to get him going. But also, you got an advantage with Mashburn. No way can Sprewell play him down tight.
Let's see if they do that, Hubie, as Chris Dudley fouls Alonzo Mourning. And Mourning will go to the line. The Knicks are in the penalty. Mourning missed 2 free throws the last time he was in the line. He wears the goggles because of the fractured eye socket, but does not use them when he's on the free throw line. And he's now 0 for 3.
See, Dudley is such a good matchup for the Knicks because he has the lateral movement. He's an excellent shot blocker, terrific rebounder, and when he fouls you hard because he knows he's going to have limited time and he'll use his 6 fouls.
That's his strength on the defensive side. Don't ask him to provide any offensive punch, and certainly don't ask him to make a free throw because that has been his Achilles heel. We're tied at 16 with 3:20 to go in the first quarter.
That's because he has that beautiful jump hook. And he told me to remind you about his jump hook.
Well, tell him you did. Foul is on P.J. Brown. And that is the 4th team foul against the Miami Heat. Teams split the season series 2-2 and are 3-3 overall this year, with the teams dividing the first 2 games in Miami. Game 4 will be Friday night here at Madison Square Garden. And if necessary, Game 5 will be Sunday in Miami. Brown knocking it away from Ewing. 12 seconds on the shot clock for New York.
See, when you set a back screen, Sprewell setting a back screen for Ewing. He's coming on a diagonal cut to the box. Charlie Ward has got to give Ewing time to post up. If they're going to front him, let him post and freeze the man.
Marley is blanketing Allen Houston again. Houston trying to get some room, and illegal defense called against the Miami Heat. That is their first violation. Pat Riley, who coached here in New York for 4 years and got the Knicks to the finals in '94 before they lost to the Houston Rockets in 7 games, trying to do the same thing and advance the Miami Heat. And a rancorous departure for Pat Riley. Ward getting into Dudley. Plenty of time on the shot clock. Ewing going up strong. Doesn't hit iron, and it goes out of bounds. Last touch by the Knicks.
Well, I think, first of all, Dudley was shocked that they passed him the ball down on the baseline. He was behind the backboard with his back to the baseline. What could he do with the ball?
What about that hook shot?
No, but see, right away, Ewing yelled, "That's right, Chris, to me. Get it to me, because I know what we can do with it."
Tied at 16, 2:40 to play in the first quarter. Here is Marley, who has missed 2 twos so far. Mourning will fire over Dudley and hit. Alonzo Mourning now with 7 points. He is the game's high scorer. Ewing with 6 tops the Knicks as the Heat lead by 2. They were up by as many as 8 points. The Knicks came back to lead by 1. So it's been a tight first quarter. Sprewell picked up by Brown. Sprewell misses, but Dudley back taps out again to the Knicks. And they're going to call Marley for the blocking foul on Houston, quickly trying to get around it.
Yeah, see, Marley guessed, and that was a good guess because he jumped right in on that crossover. Now just watch as the play is made. Now as Allen makes the move and goes. Now you see, if you got a different angle on that, that could have been called an offensive foul. The reason is that Marley was planted and Houston's left shoulder, or his right shoulder, caught Marley and put him down on the floor.
Keith Askins, who did a terrific defensive job on Latrell Sprewell after not seeing action in game 1, replaces Dan Marley. And Terry Porter, the graybeard, the oldest player on the Miami Heat, 36-year-old veteran who played so well off the bench for Pat Riley, has come in for Tim Hardaway. So the Heat now have Mashburn handling the ball with Brown, Mourning, Askins, and Porter. 2 minutes to go in the first quarter.
This takes the pressure off of Terry Porter where they can run him down on the baseline screens.
And again, Dudley one-on-one with Mourning going around, and a block. And it was Allen Houston who helped Dudley defensively. Here's Porter. That doesn't fall. Tip up by P.J. Brown. P.J. Brown with the tip in, and Brown, who has become an offensive force for the Miami Heat. Remember, they lost Rashawn Leonard and Jamal Mashburn for a good part of the year with injuries. But more important, the Heat now with 6 offensive boards. They lead by 2. Ward goes low down to Dudley. Dudley's going to put one up. And there's that hook shot that I told you about.
Oh, yeah. You see, right now you're like a typical guy. Now you want to lead the parade. I told you, the young guy, he's got that shot.
I've known it all along, Hubie. We're tied at 20. Mourning gets Ewing to go in the air and drives in. And the tip again by Brown. This time it doesn't go. The Knicks 2-on-2 situation with Ward. Goes behind his back to Houston with under a minute to go. 16 on the shot clock. Here is Ewing with a double team. Ward is open. And his shot is off. Knicks have missed several wide open shots tonight. And they're going to call Ewing with the foul. And Mike Mathis hits him with a technical foul, as well he should.
They get Patrick pushing off underneath to get that rebound. And then whatever happened there in the initial move. Now just keep an eye on Ewing as the shot goes up. Now you see they're catching him with a push right there in the back. Well, we've had a lot of pushing at both ends of the floor. That's why he's so upset. But now whatever he said here, he hit the magic word. And then as soon as that happens, that's automatic.
So Terry Porter will go to the line for the technical foul. And the foul, and you're looking at an angry Patrick Ewing. And more important for the Knicks, their entire starting front line in foul trouble in the first quarter, as Larry Johnson and Kurt Thomas had to leave with 2 fouls. And now Patrick Ewing goes out of the game with 2, replaced by Larry Johnson. Now Porter missed the technical foul, and the free throws coming up now for P.J. Brown.
The Knicks are very small. When you look out there and you see Ward and Sprewell and Houston in there, and then you bring in a Larry Johnson, or now they're coming with Camby.
Right.
Now they need a big game from Camby. Not only in the shot blocking, because during the course of the year on 2 occasions he blocked 8. Now they know he can shot block, but where he is a negative is at the defensive end against post people.
His physique is not the kind that could handle the people like Alonzo Mourning. And of course, Jeff Van Gundy would like to see Camby do a little bit better off the defensive glass. In any event, the Heat lead by 2, 13 on the shot clock with a half a minute remaining here in the first quarter. Charlie Ward penetrating and going up with it. The rebound taken down by Keith Askins. Very impressive first quarter for the Miami Heat. Even though the game is close, they have played their kind of ball.
See, the reason why Mashburn holds a lot is because that relieves the pressure off for the guards and gives them a chance for a blow.
Shot clock and game clock practically similar. Jamal Mashburn holding off the defense, gets the basket, and Mashburn now with 6 points, coming out strong in this first quarter. Dudley picking up his second personal foul, and Mashburn will try to give the Heat a 5-point lead with 7.7 seconds remaining in the first quarter. A silent Madison Square Garden. They have not had much reason to explode in this quarter. The Knicks did go on a 9-0 run at one point. Time running out. Sprewell charging down court, and it's taken away by Askins. And the final shot by Brown falls short. But the Miami Heat have the measure of the New York Knicks, and their front court has done the job. 23 of their 25 points have come from their starting front court. So after one, Miami 25, New York 20.
Dan Marley has aggravated the fractured bone spur on his right collarbone. We saw the play where he attempted to get a charging foul from Allen Houston. As you see, the two right shoulders go head-to-head. Marley immediately came out of the game, went to the bench. Ron Culp, the trainer, put ice on the shoulder. Pat Riley asked him how he was. He said to be ready to go back in, but right now the ice is to ease the pain and also to reduce the swelling.
All right, Craig, Marley 0 for 2 so far in this game, and there's the shooting percentages with Miami being outshot by the Knicks but leading by 5 points as we start the second quarter. Clarence Weatherspoon has come into the game for Miami. Askins on the offensive rebound, blocked by Camby inside. So Camby doing what the Knicks wanted when they acquired him in the Charles Oakley trade with Toronto. Knicks first possession of the second quarter. Mashburn guarding Sprewell. Askins trying to double, and it's off the foot of Sprewell. And it'll be taken out by the Miami Heat on the turnover.
Yeah, Sprewell was so concerned trying to get body contact, because when you get body contact, you spin away from the side that the defense is. And unfortunately for him, as he made that spin, he just tripped and fell onto the floor.
Whistle away from the ball as the Knicks committing a foul. Terry Porter starts the second quarter at point guard with Askins, Brown, Weatherspoon, and Mashburn. That foul is on Camby, his first. The Heat already with 10 offensive rebounds, Hubie.
It's just it's shocking, because like we said before, one team is averaging 7, the other 8 for the 2 games. So you just know it's out of the ordinary here tonight.
Camby getting the steal, knocking the ball away from Weatherspoon, and here is Allen Houston. Tough angle for Larry Johnson that time, and a bad pass inside, knocked away by P.J. Brown.
Well, the Knicks do turn the ball over, 16 times a game, so it isn't something that we have not seen before. Their pass, once the ball gets out of the hands of the point guard, they're questionable passers, all of the other people.
Porter is double teamed and loses the ball out of bounds. So the Heat turn it over, then the Knicks do it on the other end, and now Miami loses the ball. So that causes some consternation on the face of Pat Riley, and the Knicks with the ball down by 5.
You see, you got to call this. Now the players are upset, but you have to call it. You cannot hold the cutters just because the guy is putting it back screen, and that's what's happening. They're grabbing on as the guy is coming off the screen.
And that is Askins with the personal foul, and the Knicks have been asking for that since early in this game. Houston tries to force the pass. Askins got a hand on it. 2-on-1 now. P.J. Brown, and he traveled. So P.J. Brown travels before he runs into Chris Childs. And so we have played more than a minute and a half of this second quarter, and neither team has scored.
Chris Childs injured his right wrist. Now, we know that during the course of the year, Childs was very productive coming off the bench, not only as a scorer for you, but a big-time three-point shooter.
Tim Hardaway back in the game at point guard for the Miami Heat. And there's Larry Johnson on the screen and spot up.
They continue to miss the cut. Here's a travel.
Houston hits the shot just inside the line. Allen Houston with 9 points leading the Knicks scorers. P.J. Brown 9 for Miami, and Miami's lead is 3. A nip and tuck game as we anticipated. Virtually all of the games would be in this series. Knicks won big by 20 points in game 1. Weatherspoon on the missed shot, and the Knicks come back trying to cut the lead again, and Askins strips it away from Latrell Sprewell. Keith Askins, the best perimeter defender, does it inside for the Heat, and driving in for the basket that time is Terry Porter.
In this series, Terry Porter is one of the top finishers that we have on the perimeter people. Anytime he's going to the hole, you better get to him.
And Camby finds Larry Johnson underneath, and he'll get the basket and the foul as Porter winds up on the floor, but Askins will pick up his second personal foul, and the Knicks down by 3. Timeout call. We'll be right back with Miami leading by 3 here early in the second quarter. And back at Madison Square Garden with the Heat leading by 3. Coming up tonight on Turner Sports, playoff action continues on TBS at 9:30. Game 3 as the Blazers try to close out the Suns in 3 straight. Following our game, it's game 3 between the Jazz and the Kings, and that's turned into a good one with the Kings winning game 2. The series is tied 1-1. NBC anchor Tom Brokaw, and here's an actor who's been here for years, Peter Boyle.
Peter Boyle has had season tickets, I think, as long as this new building has been erected, and also back in the days of the old Garden. Peter loves his game.
At Old Garden on 8th Avenue and 50th Street.
That's right.
With the smoke hanging above the court.
Every seat in that old Garden was a good seat because you felt like you were right on top of the players.
Larry Johnson on the free throw line. And he misses it, but the Heat guilty of a lane violation, so LJ will get another opportunity. The Knicks have Chris Childs at the point with Latrell Sprewell, Larry Johnson, Chris Dudley, and Marcus Camby. Patrick Ewing on the bench with 6. Kurt Thomas picked up 2 early fouls. There is the big edge for the Miami Heat starting forwards. 14-point advantage over the Knicks starting forwards who got into foul trouble.
Not only are the points there, but the rebounds are also there. So they're backing up their game.
Larry Johnson missed both free throws, and he got the bonus there. And now they call Tim Hardaway with the foul, the offensive foul. Very subtle, but they got him on it.
See, Chris Childs is an excellent defender. He's 6'3". He's very strong. He's known as a defender, and when you're known in this league as a defender, you'll get the calls.
Does an especially good job against Porter. Larry Johnson driving the baseline. Camby with the offensive rebound, and it goes for him. Marcus Camby with his first points of the game after no blocks, no dunks, and no defensive rebounds in game 2, but he had a good opening contest. Driving is Alonzo Mourning against both Camby and Dudley, and the New York foul is on Childs.
Anytime that Mourning has gone to the basket tonight, something good has happened. Either he scores or he gets fouled. At the other end of the floor, the Knicks continue to go to Larry Johnson. Larry Johnson has no game tonight. Every time that he comes into the lane, he's coming in weak. He cannot out-jump anybody in the paint, and nothing good is coming down. Now, fortunately for them, Camby bailed them out on that last attempt, but they need Larry Johnson to get going here.
He's had big games against the Heat, including a season's high of 23 and the big Knick comeback several Sundays ago when they were down by 20 late in the 3rd at Miami. Mourning hits the free throw, and it's 28-26. Of course, Miami's problem all year is finding who can produce enough points. They know they have had Hardaway and Mourning, and Mashburn was hurt, so P.J. Brown stepped up. But now you have to wonder about Hardaway. Tonight they're getting it from the forwards.
This is a big game for Mashburn for his credibility, because you mentioned earlier, Dick, they sat him out in that 4th quarter because they were upset with his turnovers, his lack of defense. But tonight he's come out and really putting on a show.
29-26, Miami leading with 8:23 to go in the first half, and Larry Johnson fouled as he tried to spin. Keith Askins picking up his 3rd foul, and that's not good news for the Heat, where Pat Riley is depending on Askins for his defense, especially with Marley hurting.
I agree 100%. If I'm coaching the Knicks, I am really upset with my pivot guys. The cutters are open time after time after time. The post guys refuse to hit the cutters for the easy layups, and they continue to get in a war in back down one-on-one play.
P.J. Brown, who leads the Heat with 9 points, along with Alonzo Mourning back in the game. Larry Johnson has it kicked away, but last touched by the Heat. 14 seconds on the shot clock. Miami leading by 3. They were up by 5 after the first quarter. Here is Sprewell, double team.
They've been double teaming him quite a bit on the wing.
Childs working against Hardaway. Chris Childs, and the goaltending is called. Chris Childs gets the basket, and Alonzo Mourning or Weatherspoon got in there and were guilty of goaltending.
During the course of the season, Childs was a big scorer off the bench. In the playoffs, for whatever reason, he just cannot get going. Now, we know he did have the end of the season with a knee problem, but I like what we saw there. That was a nice explosion.
Hardaway continues to struggle from long range, and his three-point shooting is non-existent in this series, something the Heat have counted on all year long. Knicks looking to take the lead. They trailed most of the way in a close one. Sprewell with a high arcing shot. And good physical contact inside. And there is Camby getting the loose ball. He's got Sprewell, and the Knicks take the lead.
There you go.
And that's the quickness that the Knicks haven't shown in several years that Sprewell and Camby have given him this year. 30-29 New York.
Main thing with Miami, stay within your offensive flow that has been good to you.
And here is Mourning getting it out to Weatherspoon. Here is Porter, and he hits. Good ball movement by the Heat.
They're not going to give you that flop. Now, I admit Terry Porter, as he came across, used that left arm. But he's been in this league for so long, it's almost you're not going to get it unless it's a flagrant push.
Hey, he's 36 years old. He's been to the NBA Finals twice with the Portland Trail Blazers.
See that arm? There's that arm. Now, you see, you can't flop. And, you know, guys realize that if you tried to put Sprewell down out in the corridor with that easy a bump, he would tear your head off.
Sure would.
It's a one-point game here in the second quarter. It was on this date in history that the Knicks won the draft lottery and the rights to select Patrick Ewing, who's been their cornerstone since 1985 and with the centerpiece of their fans, Spike Lee. What has he meant to you and the fans?
Well, I got my season tickets for the Knicks the day after we got Patrick in the lottery, so I've been a season ticket holder as long as he's been here.
Every team in the league is sorry for that. I'll tell you that, except for the Knicks. Some people say they can't win with him. They can't win without him. How do you feel?
We need Patrick, but we need a healthy Patrick. But he's doing a lot. He's playing on one leg. That Achilles is killing him.
Thanks. Good luck. Let's go back to Dick and Hubie.
All right, Craig, and Patrick Ewing in with foul trouble, and it's a good thing that the Knicks bench has come out as well as they have. They have 11 points so far, have outscored the bench 11-4 for Miami because of the foul trouble. So they've come through. Great
beautiful
steal by Terry Porter, and Porter gives the Heat a three-point lead.
That was just a beautiful play by Terry Porter from the opposite side by anticipating that pass all the way.
Defense is what did it for the Heat in Game 2. That made the difference. And they have played a pretty solid defense so far in the first half of this game. Here is Larry Johnson firing and missing from 3. Johnson now 1 of 4 from the field and has scored only 2 points.
See, in Game 1 he made 3 threes. So he came right back in Game 2, launched quite a few, didn't make. And then also tonight, it's easy to settle when your inside game isn't going well.
Here is Mourning looking at Dudley, and he fires and hits from long range. Alonzo Mourning, who has been effective with his perimeter shooting of all things. And the Heat now lead by 5, 35-30. Mourning with 11 now. Here is Childs from the corner for 3, and P.J. Brown the rebound. The Miami Heat playing a very solid fundamental game tonight.
Oh, they are, and you like what they're doing. They're staying with their offense. They're getting exactly what they want.
Brown misses the shot, and they get it out to Sprewell. Miami gets back defensively, however. And the Knicks set it up, down by 5. Porter is on Childs. Sprewell guarded by Hardaway, and that will be a technical free throw coming up as Pat Riley's Heat called for their second illegal defense violation.
Yeah, they catch Mourning down inside. He was trying to release from his man who was on the box posting up. He was going to double team if Sprewell were to beat his man.
Giles will go to the line to try to bring the Knicks to within 4. Clarence Weatherspoon goes out of the game and replaced by Jamal Mashburn, and Patrick Ewing has come back in the game for the New York Knicks. Ewing with 2 personal fouls. Ewing was on the bench for 8 minutes, but the Knicks hanging in there, down by 4, and they have the ball.
And right now, Jeff Van Gundy is staying with his quick lineup.
Sprewell penetrating, doesn't get the basket but draws the foul, and will go to the line.
Now, if you notice, he made that in 2 bounces. He has such a long stride. He's got an excellent first step, and then just watch this. You see, he's got that big stride, and he has the jumping ability. Now, you look at him, you say, well, he looks like he's 6'2" or 6'3". Well, he's 6'5" with long arms, and he has excellent sprint.
Personal is on Jamal Mashburn, his second. Sprewell hits the first free throw, and he is a solid shooter from the line at 81%. We're in Madison Square Garden for Game 3 of the best-of-5 first-round battle between the Miami Heat and the New York Knicks. They've been to war in the playoffs for 3 straight years. Miami winning 2 years ago. The Knicks shocking the Heat last year in 5 as the number 7 seed. It's 1-8. 1-1 with the Knicks stealing one in Miami, and a 2-point game here in Game 3 with under 5 minutes to go in the first half. Ewing picking up Porter, and on the pick and roll, Camby scrapping with Mourning, and the ball goes out of bounds. Last touched by New York.
Camby was late on that. Anytime that in the NBA where you want to screen and roll, they will spot that guy up right at the midpoint down on the baseline. But Camby knew that was coming. He was late.
9 on the shot clock for the Heat. Here's Mourning. He's been effective from outside and remains so. So Alonzo Mourning now with 13 points, 8 coming here in the second quarter, and 5 of 10 from the field, and most of those have been from the perimeter.
See what I like about that? See, that's smart basketball. Pat Riley knew that he had it the first time. He came right back with the same play, and Mourning opened up for the open shot.
8 on the shot clock for the Knicks. Camby gets through on the pick and roll right down the middle, and Sprewell found him. And I'll tell you, that tandem gets it done, Sprewell and Camby.
Well, Dick, it's about time that they're starting to look for the cutters. The cutters have been open throughout this entire half.
Winding down to 4 minutes remaining in the first half. Tim Hardaway, who has scored only 2 points, doing it for other ways tonight, and Mourning going in, and they get him for the offensive foul, the charge, and that'll be 2 on Zoe.
That was a great defensive move, sacrificing his body by Latrell Sprewell. And when you think that's easy, you're taking Alonzo Mourning at 6'10", over 250, right in the chest.
So when you talk about Sprewell at 6'5", not being a small man against Zoe, he is a small man.
Yes, he is. You're right.
The Heat by 2. The Knicks looking to tie it up with 3:45 remaining in the first half. With Giles, Houston, Camby, Sprewell, and Ewing, who has the ball. 5 on the shot clock. Ewing ties it up for New York at 37.
Do you hear the murmur? I'm telling you. The murmur upstairs is, good. Way to go, Patrick. It's great.
Well, he's 4 for 5.
That's right. And he's playing a very solid game here tonight.
Tie score, 3:15 to go. Crowd shouting defense as Porter misses. That was the trademark of the crowd when the Knicks won their championships back in 71 and 73 when Red Holtzman was the coach. Sprewell gets 3 more, and the crowd erupts. Timeout, Miami.
The NBA playoffs on TNT, brought to you by American Express. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, American Express helps you do more. and by 1-800-CALL-ATT for collect calls.
Knicks have opened up their biggest lead of the game, 40-37. And in the duel between Alonzo Mourning and Patrick Ewing, the two former Georgetown big men, Mourning 13 points on 5 for 10. Ewing 8 points on 4 for 5. Pretty good matchup thus far.
No, I like it. We know that they're not matched up against one another. Patrick, because of the lack of lateral movement, would be a fish in the water for Mourning. But you have to like what's going on. Once Sprewell came in and they take Larry Johnson out, the team has been much quicker, and they're getting down the floor and take advantage of the mismatches. At the other end, Miami's doing a nice job getting what they want. They just have to stick because they're getting high percentage shots.
Knicks shooting 55% from the game. They shot 53% in winning game 1. Here is Mourning. It does not count if it goes. Traveling is the call against Alonzo Mourning, who shows a bit of frustration. And the Knicks with the ball and a 3-point lead with 2:34 remaining in the first half. The Knicks getting it done from the bench with the front line of the starters, each with 2 early fouls. The Knicks bench have nearly half of their 40-point total. Ewing misfires from the corner, and the Heat trying to narrow the gap, down by 3.
Now, if you're really zeroing in here, every time that Sprewell takes the ball off the dribble, they trap him to force him to give it up.
Dan Marley back in the game. Craig Sager talked about his problems with his shoulder, and this time Alonzo Mourning cannot connect from the perimeter.
They got an advantage here.
And the Knicks bringing it up with 2 minutes to go in the first half. Sprewell.
Look out.
Converted a 1-on-1 for the Miami Heat. Mashburn wasn't ready for it.
No, he wasn't.
And the foul was called on the Knicks.
Now, let me tell you what happened there, Dick. That was a good call by you, and I'm serious. Because they had a 2-on-1 and then a 3-on-1, and then Mashburn slowed down because Mashburn thought that it wasn't going to happen for him. Here you go right here with Sprewell. Now, there it comes. As they're coming out here, now just watch in the left-hand lane. Mashburn slows down. See, Porter thought he was still running hard. He was not running hard. And then when you foul in a situation like this, you got to take it out on the side so you don't get the 2-point layup.
Go ahead, dude.
No, Camby did a nice job when he was in there.
Yes, I mean, he gave him the quickness and the shot blocking that they needed. Here is P.J. Brown missing from the corner, and Childs the rebound. So Camby out, Childs in, or Dudley, that is, for the Knicks. And the drive and a block by P.J. Brown. And the Heat getting it back, trailing, still by 3 points. Hardaway for 3, still struggling from beyond the arc.
And the reason why we bring that up, Dick, and it's good that you keep underlining that, he only is shooting 11% in the first 2 games. We're talking about a guy who consistently shoots 40% in threes.
And Brown, running Patrick Ewing, missed the shot. And a foul on an ensuing play. And Alonzo Mourning close to getting a technical foul himself.
Now that time,
only 3 on Mourning.
Yeah, they fronted Patrick that time in the post. And you can see Mourning's all upset right now. You just take your time and look for that lob pass. You see he's calling for it. Now, once he gets down inside here, the help comes, and Patrick could not gain his balance. Now, you can see the guy who hit Patrick was Dudley.
That's right. It was his teammate. And that is why Mourning was so upset, and he still has a few words for Mike Mathis as he goes to the bench. 3 fouls on Alonzo Mourning, and that is a blow to the Miami Heat because he really has been the lone consistent point maker for this team.
The only good thing about it, Dick, the only good thing is you only have 1 minute and 10 seconds to go. That's all you got. So, fine. He's in there with 3. That's a bonus.
Coming up on the AT&T Halftime Report, Kenny Smith, Peter Vesey, and Ernie Johnson bring you up to date on the playoffs. Under a minute remaining in the first quarter. First half, a 4-point lead for the New York Knicks, their biggest. Tipped away by Ewing and Mashburn. Marley for 3. Got it off in time. And the loose ball picked up first by Weatherspoon, then by Brown, and finally by Childs. And a foul is called against P.J. Brown.
Great hustle by the Knicks. Great hustle by Miami. I mean, we could be calling this a scrum when that happens. I mean, everyone is going head first for every loose ball.
That is a great description of what we've seen. People were anticipating maybe some fights, which has been a history between these teams. It has been a great scrum, great hustle, and the diving for the loose balls has been something to behold.
There is an awful lot of contact going on here anytime that there are screens away from the ball. And players are taking the hits and not retaliating by losing their cool. And it has not really cost them, other than the one technical on Ewing.
Chris Childs on the line. P.J. Brown with his second personal foul on Childs. And Terry Porter will check into the game, replacing Brown, who goes out with 2. 38.4 seconds remain in the first half. The Knicks trailing throughout most of this half, and then putting on a spurt toward the end of the second quarter. And it appears they will enjoy the lead at intermission. This is Game 3. The series tied 1-1. And the Knicks on a 10-0 run in the last 3 minutes and 40 seconds.
Big Childs has been very solid. And it's nice to see him make the foul shots, because coming into this in games 1 and 2, Childs and Charlie Ward did not attempt one free throw attempt.
12 on the shot clock. And Mashburn off the rim.
That's smart. Hold for the last shot.
And the crowd on its feet.
Yes, indeed. They appreciate it.
The Knicks were down by as many as 8. And they're leading by 6. Final shot the Knicks are about to attempt in this first half. Houston driving. 1.4 on the clock. Allen Houston with 11 points. And that'll do it. And the Knicks will leave the court to cheers as they take a 45-37 lead over the Miami Heat at halftime, and a brilliant 12-0 finish to this. One of the world's great landmarks, the Statue of Liberty. Actually, it's out on Bedloe's Island, barely on land. As we welcome you back to New York City, halftime here in Game 3 of the best-of-5 first-round matchup between the Miami Heat and the New York Knicks, and the Knicks lead by a score of 45-37. The Heat led most of the way in the half, leading by 8 points, and then the Knicks went on a 12-0 run, shooting 50% to 35% for the Heat, and the Knicks got into foul trouble up front. Their bench did a tremendous job, but I'll tell you what, it was the great 12-0 run, Hubie, down the stretch for the New York Knicks. They had to go to the bench, and I'll tell you, Latrell Sprewell, Marcus Camby really set the tone with their athleticism.
Well, you have to like the fact that they're shooting 50%. Then they're also 10 for 13 on the foul line, so that's great. Bench is doing a terrific job. Miami, one of the best three-point shooting teams that we have in the league, 0 for 12 in threes. And then another fact, they were killing the Knicks on their offensive board. They had 10 in the first 13 minutes. Last 11 minutes, 0, the big donut, and that helped the Knicks get out.
And talking about the threes, Tim Hardaway 1 for 12 in the series in threes, and that has been the stock and trade of the Miami Heat. For more on Hardaway, let's send it over to Craig Sagan.
Well, Dick, as you pointed out in the first half, we're not seeing the best of Tim Hardaway. In this playoff series a year ago, he averaged 26 points a game. This series, just 5.5. Now, it all goes back to late February. He was guarding Grant Hill when he hyperextended his right knee. He went down to the ground and did not play the following game. Since then, he has not been listed on the injury report. However, it's obvious that he is hurting. At today's shoot-around, we asked if we could talk to Tim Hardaway. He said yes, but if you ask about the knee, the injury, or anything about that, the interview is over. We talked to Pat Riley. He also would not use the knee as an excuse, but did say, all I know is what I see. And, of course, what we see is not the best of Tim Hardaway. Dick?
All right, Craig, thank you very much. And the Miami Heat need scoring behind Alonzo Mourning, and you saw where Hardaway's scoring has dropped to this point since Game 1, and it wasn't anything to shout about there. Alonzo Mourning with 13 points. P.J. Brown having a very solid game with 5 for 5 from the line, and 5 of their 10 offensive rebounds is next with 9. For the New York Knicks, it's their bench. Allen Houston, a starter, has 11. Sprewell has 10, but look at Childs and Camby, and they're getting some dividends from Chris Childs especially, Hubie.
Yeah, I would like to say another thing about Timmy Hardaway. You know, 5 times in his career he scored over 20 points, and it's so difficult for a guard in professional basketball to average 20 points and 10 assists. He has done that on 2 occasions. Now, that is so hard. Now, Oscar Robertson used to do that all the time. But, you know, we're talking about the normal guards in professional basketball. And it's difficult to watch him out here. But you know what? He's still leading his team. He's making pinpoint passes, and he's trying to keep them going.
And, of course, if your shooting isn't there, you can help the team in other ways as the Heat turns over their first possession. Ward open for the 3 and hits. Good way for the Knicks to start, and they're on a 15-0 run going back to the first half and lead by 11, 48-37.
Now, Charlie really needed that. He was 1 for 5 in the first half, struggling in. Throughout this series, points have been very hard to come by.
There's Dan Marley behind the arc, and he fires. In and out it goes, and the rebound by Ewing, who was hit in the face. Patrick Ewing was hit in the face. And the Knicks bring it up 4 on 5, and finally a timeout is called. It'll be a 20-second timeout called by the Knicks.
Well, he went down hard. You can see it's in the upper part of his face.
I think it was Tim Hardaway from behind that got him, actually.
It's right there. Over the back. Alonzo Mourning. Alonzo Mourning came right over the back and caught him.
Mourning right there. Yep. Yeah, I don't think Tim Hardaway would get up that high. In any event, Patrick Ewing walking it off. And apparently, all right. Ewing hit with a technical foul in the first half.
Now, Patrick Ewing is walking by Mike Mathis right in front of our table, shaking his head, looking at Mike, because he's still hot over the technical foul and that chintzy call that he thought was chintzy to get that offensive rebound.
Larry Johnson inbounding to Kurt Thomas. Knicks front court hit with 2 personal fouls in the first half, but no one in any real foul trouble here. Here is Ewing with a baseline turnaround. Patrick Ewing now with 11 points, and the Knicks up their lead to 13.
Well, you know, the Knicks have the 2nd best home record in the Eastern Conference, only behind Orlando. And they ended the season with 4 straight wins at home. And they are playing well here tonight, Dick.
Including one of the victories against the Miami Heat. And here is Mourning against Kurt Thomas. Mashburn for 3. And once again, the Miami Heat really coming up empty. 0 for 14 from downtown. And the Knicks threatening to really open up a huge margin here in the 3rd quarter. P.J. Brown made Ewing change his shot. Might have gotten a piece of that one. So Miami coming back. The Heat, talk about the Knicks at home. 15-10 on the road. The best road record in the Eastern Conference. And no basket, the foul against the Heat away from the ball. So the basket doesn't count, and Alonzo Mourning now has picked up his 4th personal foul, and Pat Riley will take him out of the game and bring in Clarence Weatherspoon.
Now just watch on the pass-off. You're going to see Ewing step right in front. Now that was just a bit. You never leave your feet going down the lane when your men don't work. Now that's critical for Pat. But Pat's going to have to keep a close eye on the score. But he's hoping that he can get down inside of 10 points with Ewing on the bench.
Not an easy task with Mourning on the bench. And Allen Houston is fouled on a good pass inside by Charlie Ward. Weatherspoon with his first personal foul. And Allen Houston on the free throw line. Remember, he did not take part in the shoot-around today because of flu conditions.
Well, his game right from the get-go tonight has been one of I'm getting to the basket. He's over the fact that he had the 6 turnovers in game 2, and I like his attitude tonight. He's playing with a lot of confidence.
And he said, I have to match the aggressiveness of the defense, something he didn't do in game number 2. The Knicks, they're on a 19-0 run. We'll take a timeout.
The NBA playoffs on TNT, brought to you by Gatorade Thirst Quencher. You don't have to live thirsty. Life is a sport. Drink it up. By E-Trade, the #1 place to invest online. And by Nike.
The Miami Heat have not scored in nearly 7 minutes. The Knicks on a 19-0 run. Zoe on the sidelines with 4 fouls, and of course it's a decision time for a head coach in this situation.
Well, you almost have a little less than 10 minutes to go. You're down 15. Now you're hoping that the group on the floor can either keep it at 15 to 13 or get it down below. But if this starts creeping, Riley's got to make a decision, and that decision is bring Mourning now. Forget about it. You've got to close the gap. You can't get down 20 to 25.
Weatherspoon posting up against Kurt Thomas and hitting the shot. Clarence Weatherspoon, who's playing with a winning team for the first time and in the playoffs after years with Golden State and Philadelphia.
Let's see with this small unit now if they can come with some strong defense. Now, in game 2, they did. Anytime that Mourning took a break, which wasn't often, that this team responded and gave solid defense. But right now, we're not seeing that, Dick, in this run.
Oh, you got Brown and Weatherspoon and Mashburn up front. The Knicks with 2.5 minutes gone by. Kurt Thomas on a good feed from Allen Houston. And Thomas on the scoreboard for the first time tonight. Here's a good feed. Weatherspoon.
Oh,
blocked inside. Kurt Thomas made the block. The former Miami Heat with an outstanding defensive play. Charlie Ward gets it out to Larry Johnson for 3.
Oh, they're on fire now. That's why we said at the top of the show, they really play well in this building.
And the point you made just a moment ago, as you look at Weatherspoon getting fouled by Thomas, as to how long do you keep Alonzo Mourning on the bench when you're down by 18 points, even though you do have plenty of time to go here.
Yeah, he's going to ride it out for a while. Not every coach is the same. All coaches have a clock in their head. They know exactly what they do. They play differently at home than they do on the road, and especially with a star player. Now, a lot of guys will say this. They'll gamble that because the guy is a star player, that he's not going to pick up his 5th and then his 6th.
Charlie Ward on the kick foul. So Alonzo Mourning on the bench with 13 points, leading the Heat. P.J. Brown is next with 9. Mashburn with 7, but Brown and Mashburn did not score in the second quarter.
Now, you see, Hardaway and Mashburn have got to be able to give them something.
Here is Brown with a fake. Marley gets it in to Weatherspoon, and Thomas gets another block. Thomas doing the job on Clarence Weatherspoon.
See, we underline that point again. This is a very small team out there for Miami. Brown is your tallest guy, but he's not a post-up guy. He is like an afterthought, the 4th or 5th option on any play.
And Hardaway, this is from the 2-point range, and over the top it goes. So Hardaway, 1 for 6 tonight shooting, and that really has handcuffed the Miami offense, which was never tremendous to begin with.
In game 2, as well as they played, and as poorly as the Knicks played and shot so poorly, they still had a run and had a chance with inside of 6 minutes in that 4th quarter.
And the Heat called for an illegal defense. And now finally David Jones calls time, and I think they rescinded that. That would have been a technical free throw.
Technical foul.
So they took it away, and the Knicks will just inbound. Inadvertent whistle by the officials. Allen Houston over Marley. Fouled by Marley as he got the arm of Allen Houston.
Yeah, he got him that time. Now, Marley's upset about it, no doubt about it. He was right up challenging the shot, but he thought that he got ball. I thought that he got the lower part of the wrist.
Thus, you agree with the
I think
strike.
it was a good call. See, Houston has been challenging Marley all night. Now he knows, he knows that he's under the weather himself, but he also knows that Marley is injured, and he is going right at him time and time again, and he's beating him tonight.
Only 12 points for Houston in game 2. He's got 15 right now. Under 8 minutes to go here in the 3rd quarter. And Marley misses from 3, so the Miami Heat still shut out from 3-point range. They are 0 for 15.
But how about the fact that they're shut out in second shots? See, they started out the game, they were on dynamite. But then all of a sudden, that last 11 minutes, and now in this early part here, no second shots.
Mashburn misses, and now the Knicks with a 3-on-3. Everything going their way. Knicks on a 26-2 run. going back to the late stages of the second quarter. 10 on the shot clock. Larry Johnson and the Knicks playing with the verve of a team. Oh boy, everything working for them. No pressure on the Knicks, and Ewing hits it. He's got 13 points. It is a 22-point lead now for the Knicks. And Hardaway misses again, and a loose ball foul called against the Heat. And this is turning out to be a nightmare for Pat Riley and the Miami Heat.
Now see the people, they're just loving all of this. Now, right now, Riley's got to make a big statement here. You know, you got 6:57 to go, and it's creeping away from you. There is no presence on your inside game. You'd like to say you can post up Witherspoon. He's had his last 2 shots blocked. This is the guy. So what if he fouls out of the game? Because if you keep him on the bench right now, this thing could get to 25 to 30.
Crowd with their comments on Pat Riley, and of course no love lost between the New York fans and Riley in the manner in which he left New York, in his difference of opinion over authority and whatever with David Checketts, the Knicks president, and Riley going to Miami, and there was some rancor between the two, and Pat went to Miami, and no longer a favorite here, to say the least.
Well, you know, but you know, he's making a heck of a lot more money in Miami.
That does count.
And he's won 3 straight division championships. So, you know, I think he's surviving all right.
Oh, no, he's surviving. You're right, Hubie. Thomas hits the jumper, but what Riley wants more than anything is success on the floor, and he may get knocked out of the first round for the 3rd time in 4 playoff years. Timeout. Incredibly, the New York Knicks on a 30-2 run. 63-39. We'll be right back. The Blazers trying to close out the Suns on our sister station, TBS Superstation, in progress. Coming up next on TNT, the Jazz and Kings, Game 3 in Sacramento. And Commissioner David Stern in the audience and enjoying the competitiveness. The Detroit Pistons winning, defeating the Atlanta Hawks tonight. And there is Dick Ebersol, the chairman of NBC Sports, who our director Larry Cam remembers as a student at Yale and probably came back to teach Chris Dudley how to make that hook shot. Charlie Ward fouling Tim Hardaway. So following the timeout, the Knicks still on that 30-2 run, in front 63-39. With Alonzo Mourning out of the game for nearly 4 minutes, the lead has gone from 13 to 24 for the Knicks. Backing up your viewpoint that we better go back to Mourning sooner or later. Hardaway, frustrated with a lot of things tonight, slams the ball off of the backboard as Ward picks up his 4th personal.
See, all coaches have agendas. All coaches have philosophy. These are decisions that you make. Now, right now, you have no idea whether Riley is saying right now, you know what, we can't get it done tonight. I'm going to rest my horse. You don't know if he's thinking that way. Or he's saying, you know what, I'm going to keep him out to the beginning of the 4th quarter, and then we'll make another run. But unfortunately for them, it's getting away.
P.J. Brown misses, and the rebound by Ewing. One thing you've always done is that you never been the mouthpiece for coaches, because you've always said coaches know what they want. They know their team better.
Well, of course. They not only know their team, they also know what they're thinking about in the next game. And they also know what this guy is feeling as he's sitting down there. So, but then when you put together your own philosophy, Dick, you don't worry about what other people think of what you're doing. This guy is a winning coach. He's had all those division championships 9 times out there in L.A., 3 times down here in Miami. He took over a franchise that was struggling at the time, and now look what they're at. And you just got to give the guy a lot of credit.
It's just not his night or the Heat's night, as Allen Houston now with 17 points. And, hey, Pat Riley, 2nd winningest coach all time. Look at Miami, 10% shooting here in the second half. Witherspoon, that doesn't go. And the Knicks,
see, they have no one there. They have no one who can score on the boxes or in the paint because they're too small and they cannot elevate up over the top of Thomas and Patrick Ewing.
26-point lead for the Knicks with 4:40 to go in the 3rd. Ewing This is the turnaround, and the foul committed. And it will be against a double foul, actually. It's Kurt Thomas and Weatherspoon.
No, really?
No. P.J. Brown and Thomas.
Well, you know Thomas is going to be involved if there's a double foul someplace. You got to say, this guy's a tough dude. And right now, Van Gundy's taking him out, and he's bringing in Camby. Now, these two guys in game one were absolutely terrific. 17 points, 15 rebounds, 2 blocks. Miami did a great job in shutting them down in game two. But tonight, they're making a lot of things happen with their presence out there.
Camby with 3 rebounds, 4 points, and a great presence is right as a potential shot blocker every time you go inside. Mashburn, turnaround over Johnson hits.
Long time coming.
Yes, Jamal Mashburn now with 9, his first basket since the first quarter.
They need this guy. And we say, why? He averaged 16 points a game for them, the 3rd leading scorer on the team. And in the playoffs, only 9 points. They need him to step up and play big and demand the ball in the sets.
28 games on the sidelines with that hyperextended knee, the contusion above the leg, is Jeff Van Gundy, who we talk about futures. Jeff Van Gundy with a lot on the line. There's a lot of people think if the Knicks don't survive the first round, Van Gundy may not be around next year. A great feed from Hardaway into Mashburn, who has 11 points, 65-43. The lead is 22.
Yeah, Mashburn just ran a beautiful back cut on the baseline, and Timmy threaded a needle with that pass.
Brown defending Ewing, and the foul before the shot.
I'll tell you, you look at Patrick tonight, Dick. He's really frisky in the basketball. You know, he's playing with a lot of confidence offensively tonight. I didn't think that he had that in game 2 down there. You know, he was lumbering. Tonight he looks like he has some quickness.
And I thought he was lumbering more in game 1 than in game 2, although obviously he was in pain for all of those games. But tonight, 13 points on 6 of 11 shooting and 7 rebounds. Ewing hit his first 3 of the night, which set the tone for him. And meanwhile, P.J. Brown has just picked up his 5th personal foul, and Alonzo Mourning has come back in the game for the Heat, who are down by 23, and Ewing can make it 24.
Patrick has not practiced since the last game. He just put his leg in ice, and then they give him all types of therapy. But he said that he was definitely playing tonight, definitely starting the game, no question about it.
Mourning sat for nearly 7 minutes, and the ball knocked away by Camby. It was Marcus Camby who quickness got in there, deflected the ball away.
Every guy on the second unit tonight for the Knicks has done an excellent job, from Dudley to Giles to Sprewell and to Camby.
And most of them were forced in early because of the foul trouble. Ewing tipped away by Weatherspoon.
And not only that, because Miami was massacring the Knicks on the glass, and anything that Van Gundy did was going to be plus. And when they came in, they changed the complete tempo of this game.
You know, you're right. This game is a shock only because the way the Miami Heat played so soundly early on, especially with those 10 offensive boards. Sprewell works his way in. Cannot connect. And Ewing, sore Achilles and all, diving for the loose ball out of bounds. And it'll be Miami's ball. And cheers for Patrick Ewing with his great hustle.
Well, the people appreciate the effort because they look up and you see that with a 24-point lead, that the team leader is out there and he's really hustling and trying to make it happen for you.
Alonzo Mourning, who had 8 points in the second quarter and is in foul trouble with 4 now with 15 in the game, and again a 22-point New York lead. Sprewell along with Ewing, Ward, Johnson, and Camby. So the Knicks have their athleticism group in there now. Ewing. And there's Camby with an offensive rebound.
Yeah, Jeff wants a timeout right now. He feels they're a little bit out of sync. He wants to talk to them. You only have 2 minutes to the end of this quarter.
Not bad to be out of sync when you're up by 22.
Yes. We'd like to show you the Knicks in action here tonight. This is just a strong move by Allen Houston. Jumper in your face. Now, on that break in the second quarter, Sprewell pulls up, hits that 18-footer. Now, right here, Patrick, no hesitation, and he's been that way all night. Now, Charlie Ward struggling, 1 for 5 in the first half. Boom, early in this third quarter, knocks in a 3. And then Kurt Thomas on the baseline working hard. Knicks shooting 49% for the game, and the big fella has just put it all together tonight. But how about that eye? That's when Alonzo Mourning came over the back when Ewing was going up for that rebound, and he caught him from the rear.
Looks like they may stop the fight in the 8th round. Under 2 minutes to go in the third quarter. Here is Marcus Camby in traffic, goes to Charlie Ward. Dudley, who's come in for Ewing at center for the Knicks, gets the offensive rebound. Sprewell fouled on the drive. Boy, Latrell Sprewell is a gazelle out there with his quickness going strong.
Well, you see, he's not a great three-point shooter. He only shoots 28%, but he's a threat, and he attempts them. He'll take 2 or 3 a night. Now, as soon as that ball hit his hand, he gave the pump fake like he was taking the shot. The defender left his feet, and he is outstanding in blowing by you. And then he will take off, and he shoots that floater in the air. That's a very, very difficult shot, but he makes it. He shoots a high percentage.
What keyed the whole thing as Keith Askins comes in for Tim Hardaway, who leaves with 4 personal fouls. Hardaway, by the way, only 2 points, and that becomes a lingering story in this series. Tim Hardaway's lack of offense because of whatever reason we know about his injury. But I can't remember a 32-2 run, UB, in any game, much less a playoff game, which really has exploded this contest.
Well, you see, most guys will go down inside to the post, and they'll try to go down in power. Well, during that period of time, Mourning basically was sitting on the bench because of foul trouble, the end of the second quarter, and then also when he picked up his 4th. So what happens is that you want to get fouled. So if you don't have one-on-one guys, you got to resort to post-up play. You're looking for guys to get fouled, get to the line, make the foul shots, so you get off the schneid.
Brings an end to those streaks.
Correct.
Correct. Mourning with 17 after hitting that shot, and Latrell Sprewell coming back. Sprewell with 14 points, had 22 in game 1 as the Knicks won by 20 points. They're up by 24 here with under a minute to go in the third, and Dudley pushing Alonzo Mourning, taunted by the crowd, and just stared them down. And Mourning will go to the line to shoot. Knicks over the limit.
Well, Mourning has just been a real horse during the course of the season. We said that, you know, he's first in the league in blocks, 4th in field goal percentage, 6th in rebounds, 14th in scoring. He's 5th in the league in getting to the foul line 9 times a game. And he has backed it up in the playoffs. And you got to give him a lot of credit. He's having a sensational season.
Coming into this game, Pat Riley was hoping that Mourning, who did just about everything well, would give him a little more rebounding. He is struggling from the line tonight. 4 for 8 from the free throw line. It is 71-48 New York with under a minute to go in the third.
Now, you and I have been around long enough that we have seen some incredible rallies in weird situations, okay? So we never give up on a game.
Sprewell hits the jumper, and it's unlikely, but the one thing we had said about this series, you can expect the unexpected. And I'll tell you, what the Knicks are doing tonight was unexpected.
Absolutely.
14 on the shot clock. Half a minute remaining in the third quarter.
Once we got out of that first quarter, shot attempts, good looks, few and far between for Miami.
Askins throwing the air ball from deep in the corner.
Well, they're back on their heels. Nothing is crisp. Even the screens are half-hearted because the Knicks defense is very, very quick tonight.
Crowd on its feet for the final seconds of the third quarter. Sprewell with a turnaround. And the time is going to run out. So the Miami Heat held to 12 points in the second quarter, scored only 11 in the third. The Knicks 28-11 edge and lead 73-48, a commanding bulge at the end of the third quarter.
Well, the Knicks went on that 32-2 run. I'm with John Starks right now, who was the spark plug for 8 years for the Knicks, whether they were starting or the NBA Six-Man Award. What were your thoughts when you saw that run?
It was amazing. You know, it seemed like New York turned up the heat and Miami couldn't buy a basket.
You played for Pat Riley. You played for the Knicks. Who are you rooting for here?
You know, I'm kind of bipartisan because of, you know, Rouse and that I played for New York. So I think whatever team wins this game is the team that's going to win it all.
The East is crazy. We know that. But you played in the West this year. Who's going to win out West?
It's hard to say right now. You know, Utah right now got their hands full. I had picked them. But right now, they're looking kind of trouble with some of the things that Sacramento is throwing at them. So I'm not sure it's wide open. LA's starting to play a lot better now.
Thanks a lot. Along with that 32-2 run, the biggest ovation tonight was for John Starks.
Thank you, Craig. And you got to really wonder what John Starks is feeling, Hubie, as he watches part of this Knicks team for so many years, traded for Sprewell, and seeing what has been a festive occasion here with the Knicks on their way to taking a 2-1 lead in this.
Oh, no doubt about it. He was the heart and soul of the team for many years here. And you got to give him a ton of credit for the way he played, because he played with his heart and the people loved him. When he came in that tunnel tonight, they put his picture on the overhead video, and they gave him a standing ovation. That does not happen often in this building.
He was an assassin, and he's had his rough games, but you know what? That's what you want from the three-point shooter. Some good days and some bad. Mashburn misses on the turnaround. The Heat, with Hardaway missing a three, now 0 for 17 from threes. But look at Miami's scoring in the second and third.
Well, the second and third quarter, it's just amazing what has happened here. But we told you, any time that you're going to get off the schneid like that, you must have an inside game, or you have to have one-on-one players who can beat guys off the dribble and then get fouled or get a high percentage. It just did not happen. They stayed perimeter, and it's been that way for 2 quarters.
The Knicks are leading by 25 points. They were trailing by 5 after 1 quarter in a 32-2 run. Sparking it tonight, and Morning going up after the whistle blew.
Yeah.
And a foul called against Chris Dudley. 5 personals on Dudley.
Well, that group that sits right there on the baseline, they have been season ticket holders since the days of the old guard.
Yes.
There are 24 of them there to the left of the basket. They have been on Morning all night long.
Dudley gets hit with a technical foul, and of course you probably know the names of all.
Well, the one guy has the 24 ticket.
All right.
A very good friend, Freddie Klein. And these people have been in the old guard. They just moved over. They don't worry about the price of the ticket. They're here every night. It's amazing. It's an amazing group.
You often talk to the fans, didn't you, when you?
Oh yeah, well you have to do that when you're here. It relieves the pressure because you can't believe what these people say to you. Even when you're winning, I mean, you can be winning, and as you know.
Care to share with us?
No, come on, we can't get into that. We got a game. There are a lot of wonderful people who come here every night, just love the Knicks to death, and are very supportive. And especially when you're having tough times, when you have a lot of injuries and things of that nature, that people come down talk to you before the game. They appreciate what you do here.
Larry Johnson hits his second three. He has 8 points. But you had to love the experience of coaching here.
Oh, yeah. Well, the only trouble is that when then things, if they really get out of hand, the thing that you have to always overcome in New York, no matter what sport you're coaching, is the media. That's the one that you have to be able to withstand and keep your sanity.
And Chris Childs fouling Tim Hardaway in the air. And I think he's going to have a 3-shot foul coming up. Hardaway will go to the line for 3 when we come back to Madison Square Garden. Some of the people now watch Little Big League. That's all coming up on TNT. Here's Craig Sager.
Well, Dick, front row, the celebrity role, but a guy who's been here all the time, Kevin Bacon, even back before Hubie was coaching. What do you think of the Knicks tonight?
It's a lot of fun to watch him tonight, man. It's one of the. My son said to me, Dad, what's the best game you ever saw the Knicks play? And I turned to him about 5 minutes ago. I said, you know what? This may be it.
Travis, obviously you're a big Knicks fan. Who do you like best on the team?
I like Patrick Ewing the best.
Why?
Well, because he's been around for so long and he still gets right in there.
Thanks a lot, Travis. There's 2 generations of Knicks fans. Dick.
Travis wants to take our job, apparently, Craig. with some pretty good comments. Kevin Bacon, remember the other night we were talking about Jack Nicholson? He can't handle the truth. Well, Kevin Bacon was the Army's or the Marine attorney in that movie. They both starred in it. Tim Hardaway makes 2 out of 3 free throws, and the Knicks are up by 25 points with 2.5 minutes virtually gone by here in the fourth. Chris Childs with Latrell Sprewell, Chris Dudley, along with Marcus Camby and Larry Johnson. Patrick Ewing getting a much-needed rest. Johnson, who hit a 3 moments ago, misses here, but Sprewell winds up with it, working against Terry Porter. And a foul. Mourning came over to help, but you saw Sprewell's quickness against Porter going baseline, and the foul is against Porter.
In game 2, Porter was able to level Sprewell off at any time that he made a spin. You know, Terry was right there, or the rotate man was able to come in, help, and either take a charge or get a shot block. Now tonight we are seeing none of that.
Sprewell making good on the first free throw. He has 17 points. Allen Houston and Sprewell each with 17. Patrick Ewing on the bench with 15. Sprewell now takes over the scoring lead, and we doubt very much you'll see Patrick Ewing with the sore Achilles the rest of this game. With a 7-point lead, and Marcus Camby with a steal. Tell you one thing, it was a different team when they had Oakley and Starks, different style, but I'll tell you, the crowd loves the wide open play with Sprewell and Camby.
Let's see how far they go in the playoffs.
Yeah,
that's always the bottom line.
Right now they love it.
That's right. And if they win this game, they're ahead 2 games to 1. That's all. Doesn't mean whether you win by 1 or 30. The main thing is it puts the pressure on the Heat to come back and even the series. All right, they won 1 in our house. We've still got a chance to win 1 in their house. Now, right now we're having words here with Childs and Hardaway. You know, face to face, and you know, Mike Matthews pleading to Hardaway. We really don't need this. Come on, this game is out of hand. Let's just play.
Hardaway committing his 5th personal foul. And now David Jones comes over, and they're still going at each other.
Yeah, right. This is interesting.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Nick finally went over to move Childs away.
Yeah.
And that was Dudley. It's got to be frustrating for the Heat, and none more than Tim Hardaway. Can't do the things he's done. And now Mourning going over to Mike Mathis. And you got to watch. Don't put your hands on the official.
Yeah.
And right now,
they just had enough of whatever.
They got to watch
caused Timmy to take the next step.
You don't want to be suspended for a future game.
That's right. See, and he usually doesn't explode. You know, he might have some words with people. Just keep an eye on this right here. Now, we're looking for it here. Now, Hardaway is coming through here. Childs is going to try to front him. We told you, he's an excellent defender. He's not going to let you post up. Now, you can see, what he did was, you know, by throwing his rear into him and then also clearing him out, they call the offensive foul. Well, Timmy is kind of stunned, so he had words both ways. He had words for the referee, and he also had words for Childs.
And, of course, at this point, the last thing Pat Riley wanted was to see any possible ejections for the next game. That has happened, I believe, in the playoff series the last 2 years between these teams.
We told you early on, Childs is a very, very good defender, and he's going to fight you when you blow down in that post-up area. Posting Childs is a lot more difficult than posting Charlie Ward.
So it went as a double technical for Hardaway and Childs, and a second tee on Hardaway, who was ejected. Tim Hardaway wound up with 5 points on 1 for 8 shooting tonight.
Yeah, it's just been a horrible evening for Tim.
30-point lead for the Knicks. Mourning, and the rebound by Camby. But who would have thought, when the Knicks winning by 20 in game 1, that we would have an even bigger potential blowout here in Game 3. Mourning blocking Sprewell, but the Knicks keep the ball. And what entertainment this has to be for the Knicks crowd.
Well, see, Van Gundy wanted a goaltend. Van Gundy and the Knicks all thought that that ball was taken off the glass.
Terry Porter, now the point guard, feeding Mashburn, who hits the three. And that is the first three-point basket tonight for the Miami Heat, who are 1 for 18.
Now, this is a team that shoots during the year. You know, they usually will attempt 16 during the course of the season and then shoot 36%. But tonight, it's just been horrendous.
81-54 as Houston is fouled before the shot. Rashawn Leonard has checked into the game and commits the foul. Leonard not pleased at all in not seeing action in game number 2. Believe it or not, coming into this game, Leonard was second on the team with an 11-point average, didn't even play in game 2.
Yeah, but they're upset because when he came back, he gained weight after he came back and was practicing.
Seven minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. The New York Knicks running away from the Miami Heat. A 32-2 run late in the second and through the third. The difference here, the Blazers and the Suns on our sister station TBS in progress. Coming up next on TNT, Game 3 between the Jazz and the Kings. All even 1-1 to play in Sacramento. There is Marv Albert, the radio voice of the New York Knicks, who had the pleasure of calling that exciting Indiana-Milwaukee game last night, won by the Pacers, and will be on the air tomorrow as well. So Marv Albert traveling nearly as much as we are, Hubie.
I'd say this Knicks second unit has just been outstanding in the second quarter, and then since they've come in the game, they're showing us all of their wares, whether it's offense, defense, shot blocking, running. It's just been nice to watch. A lot of excitement here.
Marcus Camby with the turnaround, and Camby now with 8 points, but has played well, very active on both ends of the floor. Mashburn was out there with Leonard, Weatherspoon, Mourning, and Porter. Hardaway ejected with 2 technical fouls. Mashburn tried to bank up the turnaround shot, and a foul called against the Knicks. It's on Chris Childs. Will send Alonzo Mourning to the line. And Dwayne Carswell is going to come in the game. Mourning won't go to the line, he'll go to the bench. There's Dwayne Carswell, a 9-year veteran from Temple, who played in the regular season finale when Alonzo Mourning sat out. And Mourning leaves the game with 18 points. And we won't be seeing Alonzo again until game number 4 Friday night here at Madison Square Garden.
Terry Porter has just been such a outstanding selection by Pat Riley. He was at Portland for so many productive years, last 3 in Minnesota, and now he came down here to Miami, gave them 10 points a game, an excellent defender, allowed him Hardaway and Porter, and he probably won 6 to 8 games with his major contributions.
Pat Riley loved him from the start. He said he's a big play warrior, and I respected him when he played with Portland, and I coached LA. And the question is, would he hold up in the minutes he's played? He's played over 27 minutes, and he did hold up.
He's having a nice playoff. He's been very consistent.
6:20 to go in the game, and it's 83-56 in favor of the Knicks. Here is Sprewell firing over Mashburn, and Latrell Sprewell with 20 points tonight. He is the Knicks leading scorer. Allen Houston has 18, and Patrick Ewing, who is on the bench the rest of the game, with 15. And the Knicks with a great performance by their reserves. Rashawn Leonard hitting a 3 with under 6 minutes to go. 26-point lead by the Knicks. Their biggest lead was 30.
Well, I'd like to see Rashawn Leonard get some work here tonight, because in game 1 he did a nice job for Miami. And in that way, that would give them another productive guy on the outside who could come in and possibly helping in game 4. Now, you can go back to last year. You know, this this young guy really stepped in and was a major starter for them. Three-point player. They could count on him for scoring, you know, large amounts of points in big games.
Leonard committing the pushing foul, and now both benches will empty. Rick Brunson, a second-year point guard from Temple, who had 11 assists in the final regular season game against the Miami Heat, has come in, and Rex Walters, who saw plenty of action this year for the Heat as a backup point guard. Walters averaging 15 minutes, had played with New Jersey and Philadelphia previously and started most of the year for New Jersey.
Well, he did a very good job when Marley was having his problems. They had to play Marley at small forward when Mashburn was out. Rex Walters teamed with Hardaway, and they really did a nice job. And then as each guy came back, unfortunately for Rex Walters, his time was cut back, and then he went to the bench. But he was very big in helping them win this division championship.
Camby foul going to the basket. The Heat also have brought in Mark Strickland. As you look at our lineup with the Blazers Suns going on now in Phoenix and the Jazz and Kings coming up next, Mark Strickland, who suffered a broken nose when he was inadvertently hit by Dikembe Mutombo, a high energy player, has come in the game, played 3 minutes in game number 1 and wearing that mask. Those are Strickland's playoff numbers as Kurt Thomas will come in and a hand for Latrell Sprewell as he goes out. Sprewell with 20 points and 5 rebounds. And a lot of hugs on the sideline for the New York Knicks. 5:20 to go in the game. The Knicks lead at 86-59 and headed for a 2-1 lead in this best of 5. Here's Walters missing a 3 and Thomas getting the rebound. So the Knicks have Childs with Brunson, Camby, Thomas. And Dudley. Let's not forget Dudley.
Yeah, what you want out here right now is, you know, everybody calls this garbage time, but it's not garbage time for the guys who are on the floor.
I've never used that term.
Yeah, that's correct. But you read about it all the time in the paper, and a lot of people will talk about it.
It cheapens the game a little.
That's right. And what you do right now is you look at these guys. To them, this is meaningful minutes because we're talking about they've been on the floor now for 7 minutes. Now, what you're trying to do as a coach is you're trying to get them to run the stuff and make sure they play hard, try to be unselfish, stay within what we do, because who knows which one of you might be a key guy in this game for us off the bench in game 4.
Great point. You never know who will get into foul trouble when you're going to need an extra guy. Brunson showed what he could do.
Last Wednesday night here, you and he put on a show.
Yes, he did.
He only had 1 turnover, 11 assists. He made great decisions.
Kickball and a new 24-second clock for the New York Knicks.
I like what Jeff Van Gundy told you and that was that Brunson makes better decisions off of the screen and rolls and screen and spot ups than Childs or Charlie Ward. But right now is he needs to improve his shooting because he's only a 35% shooter. But as for the moxie and all of that, he's really got it.
Thomas missing and getting his own rebound in the corner. And Kurt Thomas with a drive, and Marcus Camby cleans up. So Camby now with 11 points.
See, that's what they like about Camby. He comes from the other side of the lane. See, in many matchups, he gets overpowered by strong centers or strong power forwards. But when he can come off and help in your rotation, he becomes a shot blocker, a good interceptor, a guy who causes deflections, and really enhances the defense.
5 for 6 from the field for Camby as Leonard works his way in. The Knicks leading 89-61. And setting up a game 4 Friday night with a chance for the Knicks to eliminate the Miami Heat for the 2nd straight year in the first round. Last year the Knicks won in 5, winning game 5 in Miami. They have a chance to win it in 4 games as Brunson drives in for the layup. And that would be 2 years in a row if the Knicks can do it. But you know that the Miami Heat, Pat Riley, always has this team coming back when they're in a desperate state, and they will be in a desperate state on Friday.
Well, they're a very sound team. You know that they're injured, but all he has to do is get them up for 1 game. And that is this this is it. This is it or you go home. So you know that when they come out here on Friday night, it is really going to be extremely physical. His game plan for a quarter and 2 minutes was outstanding. But the key thing is when you're coaching at the other end, you just got to convince your guys. We're playing good defense. They're shooting, but they're missing. If you will just do your business and take care of the defensive boards, we're not going to get hurt here. And that's what happened. They stopped them from getting second shots, and then they ran them to death in the open floor. And you got to give the Knicks a ton of credit. Their defensive game plan by their coaching staff tonight, outstanding. He just went back to work.
Wayne Causwell hit the free throws, but a very good point, because the way this game started out, the Miami Heat opening up an 8-point lead, and it looked as if the Heat were going to grab command because of those 10 offensive rebounds, because in a game like this, aggressiveness is what sets the tone.
You know, you always remember, Dick, that you can tinker with your adjustments, and that's what you do. But you have to have players who can execute what you're trying to do against the other players. And then we all know that the three guys refereeing the game set a style and a tempo for that night. And it changes from game to game.
Rashawn Leonard, who has lit it up since coming in, hitting 2 threes, now has 8 points in the game. 91-66 to score as we wind down to 3 minutes to go.
Are you worrying about him gaining weight? Are we saying?
Looks and shapes him.
He looks and shapes him.
What's that Ramsey talking about?
That's pretty good.
But those people close to the Miami Heat are aware of some of the things that go on with the team. Walters firing from 3 and in and out. The rebound by Herb Williams is in the game. Herb Williams in his 18th year, the oldest player in the NBA.
Well, all the young guys in the league have no idea that when he played for the Indiana Pacers, he was an 18-point-a-game guy and a double-figure rebounder, an outstanding player. It's only all of his averages have just dropped because of the years here with the Knicks, where he's nothing more than a good practice player. He helps the coaches. He'll probably be a coach in this league once he retires. Everybody respects his leadership. They respect his work ethic, and they really think that he's going to be an outstanding coach in the future.
Timeout with 2:05 to go. Rashawn Leonard on the free throw line makes the first. Tonight's game produced by Jeff Benke and directed by Larry Cam. Jim Allen and Jeff Randolph also part of our crew. Marty Aronoff, our statistician. And the New York Knicks headed for a 2-1 lead and a chance to become only the second team in NBA history for a number 8 seed to knock off a number 1 in the opening round. It happened once, and that was when Denver beat Seattle back in '94 in the West.
And that was a happening. That was a big upset.
Here is Brunson driving in and getting the lay-in. 93-68. Rex Walters on the outside, and Leonard hitting the 3 over Childs. So Rashawn Leonard now with 3 from downtown, 93-71.
What he just did is so difficult. He just ran from the opposite corner, up the lane, off the 2 screens, caught the ball, turned in the air, and made a shot from about 25 feet.
And making the most of his time. When you talk about
yes, he is.
The final garbage time, so to speak, he is showing what he can do. Here's Craig Sager.
Well, Dick, it's time to put a face to a name. You heard Hubie talk about Freddie Klein. Some people have left early, but not this guy. Tell us about your loyalty to the Knicks.
I'm very loyal to the Knicks. I've had these same seats since 1959. That's 40 years. I want to kill this girl in back of me. And I promised Hubie Brown I'd wear a hairpiece for this, but I changed my mind.
40 years. How has the price changed in 40 years for the price of this ticket?
Well, my tickets are $175 now, and the playoffs are $225. They used to be $2.50. And the first row years ago, the season ticket was like $70.
How many season tickets do you have now?
I have now about 8. I used to have about 46.
He never leaves. He hasn't missed but 15 games in 40 years, Dick.
Well, you know him real well.
Oh, I do. He's a wonderful character, and he's a great friend to any coach who has ever worked here in New York, and also to all of the players. He's associated with the Carnegie Deli for years and years and years, one of the owners. and then also with the Stage Deli. He's a broker of restaurants, etc. here in New York City. Wonderful guy. A real fun person.
Throw the pastrami on rye.
There you go.
Special there, right? Jazz and the Kings coming up next. 1-1 in that series. We have 38 seconds remaining. Latrell Sprewell led the Knicks tonight with 20 points. Allen Houston got off to a good start and had 18. Patrick Ewing getting some rest for his sore Achilles tendon. 15 points and 8 rebounds in 26 minutes. And Marcus Camby coming off the bench, 13 points and 9 rebounds. And the bench immediately gave the Knicks production tonight.
Great effort, great game plan, beautiful execution by the players.
Alonzo Mourning with 18 points, leading the Heat. No basket. Tim Hardaway 1 for 8 before he was ejected, and Marley 0 for 5 from the field. But you know the Miami Heat will regroup.
A veteran team, you know that they'll come back. But we got to remember now that the Knicks are hot. This is their 5th straight win at home now. They're playing with a ton of confidence in this building.
And there you see Sprewell with his arms raised and the crowd yelling. And the final seconds of the game and the crowd on its feet. No dramatics tonight. Just a thrashing by the New York Knicks over the Miami Heat, beating them to take a 2-1 lead. And game 4 Friday here at the Garden with a chance for the Knicks to knock off the team with the best record in the Eastern Conference.